Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Mess and the Magic podcast. I am Casey Jade, your amazing host. And today's guest is somebody who embodies both grace and grit, who's walked through one of life's most tender and transformational chapters in the past year for life. Gabby Engel is an attorney, dance teacher, and passionate community leader. But lately, she's been wearing a new title: Woman in Full Transition. In the span of a single month, Gabby's life unraveled from losing her job, her beloved pup, and her father, all while moving into a brand new home and approaching her 40th birthday. Instead of bypassing the grief or numbing the chaos, she's chosen to be present with it, to sit in the mess, to seek meaning, and to slowly uncover the magic in the rebuild. This conversation is going to be about burnout, grief, identity shifts, and the quiet beauty of being cracked open by life. Not as a punishment, but as an invitation to reimagine who you are and how you want to live. Gabby's story is real, raw, and a reminder that even in our darkest seasons, there is still poetry, power, and choice. Let's dive into the mess and the magic. Welcome, Gabby.
Oh, it's so good to be here. Thank you for having me, Casey. I'm so happy
Absolutely.
to be able to chat with you today.
Thank you for being able to share your heart and your story. God, we've known each other for how long? What year did we meet?
Okay, so I was just talking about that earlier. I think 2017 when I did the photo shoot in
Yep.
2017. I think that was when we first met. So it's been 8 years. I can't do math.
8 years.
Not
Oh my
with
goodness.
stress.
Part of that was just chaos because there was no time during COVID. So,
We moved past that.
well, I know that you've been through so much in the past year. Tell us a little bit about things that have happened recently, what you're going through right now, what you're working on. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah. So, the backstory will help fill in the gaps of how I got to where I am now, but I am doing me in a way. I am consulting in the industry that I've been a part of for nearly a decade now, but I'm also really taking advantage of the opportunity to branch out of the niche in my industry. I'm very good at what I've been doing, but I want to learn more. And so I've taken some opportunities to work alongside some people that I've really respected who are very good at what they do in a similar but different industry and learn from them. I'm taking a lot of breathing room right now, which is not a thing I ever thought that I would have the opportunity to take. I'm still teaching dance. I love that. It's my creative outlet. We kick off our next academic year on Monday. So
Ooh.
we're back in the studio full time. We've got a lot of performances lined up.
Well, and
And
you say
I
back in the studio full time. You work full time, you're in the studio full time. From who I know you to be, you keep yourself very busy. So what does having breathing room look like to you?
really for me right now, the breathing room is the transition that I've made in my general career as an attorney and as a regulatory compliance and licensing expert.
Bless you.
I it's fine. I'm working for myself now, and that again is not something I'd ever do, but that's my breathing room is I get to choose. I get to choose who I work with, what projects I take on, how many hours a week I want to commit to working. That is, since I graduated college and law school and entered the workforce, I have always had a 9 to 5 for one company. And I never thought that I would branch out and do my own thing, but I just decided to. And um, I, it has been breathing room, which doesn't sound like it should be, but it has.
So, in the difference between working for someone and working for yourself, are you choosing your own hours right now?
Yes.
So, one of the things, I came from retail management, serving, bartending, all of the things that make you to be somewhere at a certain time. And then I went to photography and running my own thing. And nothing prepares us for working for ourselves when it comes to like time management stuff, because we go from someone else telling us what to do, when to do it, how to do it, to having this freedom. How have you navigated the change in that area?
It definitely takes a level of discipline that you kind of have to dig into yourself to remind yourself that you have. So it's because I have my clients in the gaming industry, but then I also have kind of my new role learning alongside a corporate attorney. in her firm. And so I do different things every day, and I'm my boss with my clients, and I'm kind of her employee in a way, right? Even though I'm, like choosing the work that I do with her. And so it takes a lot of getting up every day and going, okay, what do I need to work on today? What is my time availability? And kind of blocking those times. And, you schedule the calls with, and I have international clients right now. So they're on all different time zones. And I will have, some of them need 4 o'clock in the afternoon because it's 8:30 a.m. where they are, or some of them
Mhm.
need 8 o'clock in the morning because it's 4 p.m. where they are. So, it's a lot of balance, but, it does take a level of discipline, and so if you don't have that, it's just gonna continue to be chaos.
Like, do you end up blocking a certain amount of hours to work a day? I know obviously with international times, everything changes and shifts. So do
Mhm.
you have like a generic, like weekly kind of like bones schedule that you work off of and operate off of, or do you kind of navigate it per day?
Right now, I'm navigating it per day
Mhm.
just because of the workload and the projects that are it ebbs and flows, and so it is day by day for me. I think I'm getting to a point where it's gonna be these are my kind of office hours, just so I can keep a little more structure in the rest of my life.
And I know that you've been doing a lot of new practices too. I mean, there's a lot that happened last year, this year, but I know you said you got into meditative yoga. How often do you do that a week?
Yes. So I have quite unfortunately been off of that for about a month, but once to twice a week, I there's a class at a studio near me, and I kind of fell in love with not only the practice but that particular teacher. She's
Mhm.
absolutely fantastic. And so once to twice a week, definitely once a week, that's non-negotiable. If I have the wiggle room to go to the second class, I do.
How does she structure her class? Is it like a yin class, like a lot of like long holding meditative positions,
Yeah,
or what does hers look
no,
like?
it is I love it because it's about 20 minutes of active movement just to get the blood flowing,
Mm,
mm, and then about 20 minutes of active stretching and about 20 minutes of passive stretching. So it really
mm.
is this good kind of blend and flow of the class of like, we get your blood flowing, we're gonna hold some active stretches. Some of them I love, some of them I see exactly where I need to work. It's great. And then the passive
Great
stretching at the
framing.
end. Yes, yes. And the passive stretching at the end is honestly my favorite part, but I love how we get there as well.
Mhm. Yeah, I have been obsessed with the yin classes because coming into my feminine flow and just being in the stretch and the chaos of that tension
Yes.
together with the active and passive, so that sounds super cool.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part about the meditative quality of it? How has yoga and that practice shifted your life or your outlook?
I think you know as well as I do the struggle of not being able to turn your brain off. And so this is a class that I have found that helps me do that for an hour. And it's not successful every hour that I do it, right? But it has really helped me get to a place where more times than not, I am able to just focus on the class and not think about the call that I have afterwards or the projects that I need to continue working on today. And so
The
it's helped me,
never-ending to-do list, which is fine
you
because you
know,
know it'll always be there when you come back to it, so it
yes,
won't mind that you're away.
yes, yeah. So it really is another way that I'm able to shut my brain off for a short amount of time, and just finding that peace to go within. It has always been a challenge for me, and so I'm very grateful that I've found, an hour a week that I can actually do that.
Mhm. Yeah, I've been working heavily right now on my morning and evening rituals. One thing that I never really took care of was my skin or anything like that with evening routine. I was a person who would and viewers, don't hate me for this. I know, I get it. I I would go to sleep with makeup on. and I just wouldn't take care of myself. I think I was in this rebellion phase of, well, it's not hurting me. Nothing's happening if I don't do these things and routines and taking care of myself. And I know that those are long-term things. So, let's just take care of yourself, be preventative on maintenance, do some things to actually take care. So it's been really interesting learning about these things because it wasn't something that I was taught. So it's not intuitive, but learning the best ways to take care of your skin and self. And with yoga, with breath work, with all of that, I feel like all of that really calls in that quiet clarity that we can have about ourselves and kind of separate from everything we feel in the outside world, everything we take on from clients, from people we interact with, from our partners. I think yoga and breath work and routine and habit in and of our just sovereign selves is so important.
Yes, absolutely. And it's so funny that you talk about taking better care of your skin because that's actually something that I've started doing too. I was
What are you
one
doing? Any
step
tips?
like
You doing Korean
better.
skincare? What are you doing?
Well, I was like one step above you in that I at least took my makeup off every night, but 9 times out of 10, it was a makeup remove wipe,
Mhm.
and then I went to bed, right? So, like, I didn't go to bed with makeup, but I literally just wiped it clean and did nothing else. And I have, for better or for worse, sensitive skin. I have learned to accept it about myself and just be better. But I was starting to break out in these like dry, rough skin, like discolored patches on my legs. And it was getting to a point where I was like, this is noticeable. This isn't just noticeable to me. This is like noticeable to other people. So I went to my dermatologist and she gave me, we actually had to like upgrade twice in like the strength of like the steroid cream that she gave me
Mm.
to really finally make a difference. And so when I finally got that managed, I was like, okay, whenever I shower, I'm doing a full body lotion routine here because she said you're dehydrated. Your skin gets dehydrated. You need a moisture routine. And I'm like, okay, that's fair, right? I live in the desert. I already have sensitive skin. I'm also pale. All the things are counting against me.
And our skin actually, that's where we detox a lot of the chemicals and stuff in our body that our body processes, is how it detoxes through the skin.
Yes, absolutely. And so at night now, I take my makeup off, but then I also actually wash my face and I have an eye cream. Usually I trade up my eye cream kind of depending on my mood and what I have. And then the one thing I do every night now that I will say I've gotten so many comments on recently is I have a lash building serum that I just put right over my eyelid every night. And I cannot tell you how many people in like the last month are like, oh my God, are those your real eyelashes? And I'm like, yes. And they're like, what? What do you use? I've sent so many people the link. It's the Rodan and Fields lash
Oh,
building
that's
serum.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah.
literally have it. Okay. My girlfriend works for Rodan and Fields and she's amazing and I love her so much. And I went to support her at an event a month or 2 months probably ago. And I don't do much, but I do want to work on my lashes. So
Yeah.
she gave me that stuff and I was back and forth at my boyfriend's house and I didn't really have routine. So now I'm working on actually doing it every night. I've been doing it for a week. I haven't seen much yet, but I'm super, super stoked because I've been doing it for a week and I
Yes.
love, yeah, I've heard so many people have amazing results with the Rodan and Fields
Yeah.
eyelash deliciousness.
Yeah.
So
And
good
like
to know that you're doing that.
yes, and I've always had long lashes, like, when I was much younger, I had, like, makeup artists comment when they would, like, when you go to the mall and you get your makeup
Yeah,
done kind of thing, and so but I'm even noticing, like, the difference, even having had long lashes my whole life, I'm like, "Oh, no, these are, like, long, long." Like, this
long.
is yeah. So, keep using it, I
How do you get
promise
your
you.
eyelashes to curl? Do you use a curler?
So don't hate me, I don't. They
No,
just
I will never hate you. I'm always asking the questions. That's why
I
we're here. We're
really
being
don't.
curious.
No, I use a lash primer, right, which doesn't do anything to curl, but I think that's how that it kind of extends the length with the mascara. I always use
Right.
a lash primer. I always wear black mascara.
Hmm. Contrast.
And a shameless plug, I use the Mary Kay Ultimate Mascara. That's like it's been
Mm,
my go-to for years, and it just works so well for my lashes. And so um, I do that, but I don't curl my lashes. I have a lash curler because, in my dance days, my performance dance days,
right.
when you had to wear the fake eyelashes, then you put it on and you curl them to make sure they all go up together.
I
I'm
hate
like,
that contraption.
it's my nightly routine now,
Yep.
it's my
The serum.
religion at
Yep.
this point. And then I do serums, whether it's vitamin C and E or kind of something. I have a vegan collagen serum right now too.
Mm.
I kind of just do a hodgepodge of let's just throw some things on and make my skin happy. And then I always do at night, I do a heavier moisturizer because I'm going to bed. I don't need to put
Mhm.
makeup on, so it can really kind of sink in.
Do you feel better now in the mornings? Do you notice a difference from when you weren't doing that to when
I
you are now?
do, and I'll tell you what my esthetician does. I do like microneedling and like monthly facials, and really started into this night routine a few months ago. And the last few times I've been there, she's like, "Gab, what are you doing? Your skin is so happy." And I'm like, "Well, I started taking care of it at night." She was like, "Well, please keep doing that."
Like, I started doing something,
Yes.
anything?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Is there anything else that you do in your routines daily? It doesn't have to be skincare stuff, but morning or evening routine that you've seen change your life in a better way?
Uh, Honestly, not yet, and it's funny you say that because there's things that I want to change out that I'm doing that I know are not helping me start my day off in the best way, and they're not, like, starting off in a bad way, but I know that there's things I
Are you
could change up.
doom scrolling immediately?
Yes, immediately, and it's partly because
Dopamine!
it's so good and so bad. It's because Sean wakes up and goes to work every morning, and I'm awake when he's awake, and so, like, when he's getting ready, I'm just laying in bed and I'm doom scrolling. And I'm like, "Okay, I gotta, just because I can't go take a shower right now, I need to, like, be more productive and, like, put my phone down and go do other things," right? There's other things
What
that
do
I could
you
be
want
doing.
to be doing? I know you said you want to shift, so what do you want to be doing in the morning instead of doom scrolling?
I really want to maybe start a routine of some hot tea, to kind of wake up. I'm not a big coffee drinker, but I will drink coffee, but I feel like I'm in the era now of like I need to explore more of my hot tea options. And then I have like oracle cards and like gratitude cards. I'm like, I want to come in this office, which is the last room in my house that is not fully put together, which is my next big project, and like meditate for 5 minutes, draw some cards, set my intentions for the day, get some messages of like, because whatever your spiritual beliefs are or aren't, I feel like I'm going to draw the cards that I need to see that day, that I need to read that day, and take that, for what I will, and just kind of have that kind of routine of like, don't doom scroll the first thing in the morning, get up, make some hot tea, don't turn your work brain on yet, because if I'm on my phone doom scrolling, I'm also checking my emails, what clients have emailed, what new projects have come in.
Instantly get into that fight or
Yeah.
flight work mode of feeling like you're behind and needing to do things.
Yes. I will say being out on my own, that fight or flight has drastically dropped, which I am so grateful for, but I still go, okay, I really need to be working on this today. Or like, oh, I need to respond to this regulator on behalf of this client kind of thing. And so then you kind of go into like you're making a to-do list and I'm like, give me a minute. So I don't have other things right now that are like yes to my day of like I have to do this, but I really am intentionally working on changing that this month.
One thing I have found, especially with in the morning, I mean, anytime, but cold liquids actually are worse for your digestion, and warm liquids will actually warm up your digestion and really soften your body into waking up. So I think hot tea in the morning is a very good choice. And, depending on if you want caffeine or not as a stimulant, because there's so many good herbal teas out there as well. But I know that you're a little bougie with tastes, Miss Pearl Lady. So there's a tea that I think you would actually really, really love. Right when you said tea, I was like, I have a tea for Gabby. It's Harney and Sons, and it's their Paris tea.
Ooh,
It
okay.
is so good. It comes in a metal tin. There's little sachets. It's so cute. Sachets, sachets. I don't know how the fuck to say it, but we're saying
However you want.
they're so fucking cute. And it's my friend Amy, who is also a dainty lady, turned me on to that tea.
Yeah, please do.
So freaking good.
Okay.
I love a hot liquid in the morning. What I've been doing lately is either like water with lemon and I'll walk outside to be in the sun and reset my circadian rhythm, or I'll have like hot tea, or sometimes I do the mushroom coffee now. I still have an occasional cup of coffee because I love the taste, but I do have a decaf option in case I don't want the actual caffeine and just want the flavor,
Yes,
which
absolutely.
is lovely.
It's funny, you mentioned getting the sun. That's another thing that I really think about. We have a beautiful backyard now. Like, our backyard's finally done. It took several months. Well, thank you, HOA approvals, but it's done. And like, I have lounge chairs in my backyard. Let me go lay out for 20 minutes a day, right? Because porcelain princess burns. We don't tan, we lobster. So like not trying to set, like do anything that, but 10 to 20 minutes a day is the vitamin D that you need. So I'm like, let me start
Mm.
my day like that.
Yeah, it's fun. I actually, lately I've been going on morning walks too. If I get up early enough, there's a little green path right by my house, which thankfully for just where I live, it's the perfect space to go on that walk. And I've been walking 3 miles. And so I've been getting a little tan. I've been getting some workout, my actual hips warming up for the day, which is great. So it's been so nice, but having the environment is so important to have to be able to feel like you can relax, or like you were saying, going into the office to have your little meditation, gratitude card pulling, oracle card pulling routine, to have the space to be able to do that and feel like you can have the availability of it, I think is easier because it kind of sets you up for success. But talking about the new house, I mean, we can
Yeah.
start getting into the month of all the craziness,
Oh, yeah.
right? Tell us. So, like, you got a new house. When'd you get it? How was that process? Talk
Yeah.
to us about home ownership. Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
you already
Oh
owned
God.
your condo and
And
stuff
this
too, right?
is my first house that I've owned. And I, of course, co-own it with Sean. So we closed October 29th, but we did a new build. So we actually bought the dirt in last February. We put the deposit
We
down on our
bought the
lot.
dirt.
We bought the dirt. I know, right? It's a country song by Dirt. And I can't remember what it's called or who sang it. Dan and Shay, maybe? Anyways, there's a country song I always think of when I say we bought the dirt. But anyways, so we put the deposit down last February, and we really got to go through the process of. So the day you put the deposit down, you have to choose your structural upgrades because they pull permits. So you're like, okay, here's all the things that you have to choose now. So we did all of that, and then about a month or so later, we had our appointment at the design center. Chose all of our kind of aesthetic upgrades, flooring, stair railing,
Countertops,
yeah, countertops, cabinets, wall
cabinets,
color, all the things.
flooring. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And let me tell you, they're not cheap. When you want
No,
like
all the upgrades are so much.
there's so much. There
You're like, here's the
is
base
a lot.
price for your house, and you're approved for this much. And then you're like, what do you actually want it to look like? Oh,
Right.
you want
Yeah,
it to look how you want? That'll be an extra double your house price.
that is correct. And so we had an incentive on our when at the time that we made our deposit kind of locked into our base price, we had an incentive on upgrades. If we did a certain amount, we got a certain amount off. And so without
I get you.
actually like we had done calculations, but not enough. Like we didn't know electrical costs going into the design center. And of course, we pre-wired for ceiling fans and added some outlets and all of that. And so we somehow by whatever miracle we only went $1,500 over what we had to hit to get the incentive off. And I was like,
Wow.
I don't know how we did this, but we could not have planned this better. So we did that in March, and then they send you all the updates throughout. Your house has been framed. We've laid the foundation. Your house has been framed. And we would drive by once or twice a month on a Sunday and take progress pictures and all of that. And so, yeah, we closed October 29th, did our final walkthrough, and it was just, yeah, there's a lot of paperwork involved in buying a house, by the way. There's just so much paperwork, but it was completely worth it. We love the house. It fits both of our stuff, which I wasn't quite sure, mostly because of me. I wasn't quite sure was going to be
All of your freaking
possible, but
shoes.
yes, all of my shoes. So the reason that we got the floor plan we did is because we have separate closets. And that was his call. He was like, I think we need separate closets because I would like to have a space for my clothes. And I was like, that's
Agreed.
fair, honey. You should have space for your clothes.
One of my girlfriends, her husband owns a cabinet company. He built her an entire closet room, and it is the coolest thing in the whole world. And every time I go in there, I just manifest, I'm gonna get me a man to build me a room for all of my stuff.
Yes. I love that. Actually, I had my closet custom built. We took out all of we did like no prep closet. So it was just blank walls. There are two guys locally. They're both retired professional dancers. Earthworks USA. I paid them to custom build my closet, and it's like walnut, like it's not even particle board. It's straight up walnut. They came in, they measured everything. It was absolutely amazing. Steven and Joshua are incredible. I would send anyone to them for woodworking, but I'm so happy with my closet. And they really worked with me. They're like, what do you want? Like, we want to build what you want. And I said, well, first of all, I've never built a closet before. So like, this is my first time.
Here,
But
let
I
me
said,
show you
what?
my closet, and you can tell me what would be best for my stuff.
Right. And so I said, well, I have a lot of expensive shoes and some really nice clutches. So like I'd like an area to display that. So on the back wall of my closet, they built me like the top half shelves for my shoes and they made glass doors. So I have like a display. Like it's
Yep.
absolutely perfect.
Christina has like all her like purses and cool shoes like up on the top thing. She
Yes.
has a place for like her wedding dress to be displayed with the shoes, with like her little everything
Yes.
that she wore. She has like her
And I
whole
love that.
outfit like in her closet. I'm like, I love this.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, so
She has this
I
the
did that.
counter thing in the middle. She has an island and her jeans pull out on racks from there. So like her pants are built into the island.
Okay, that
It's
is
so
next
cool.
level and I
It's
am
so
impressed.
it's
I
very
love
next level. It's very
that.
cool.
I love that. So,
Okay, so house,
mhm.
home ownership, how has that been? Were there any sticky points? Do you wish you did anything differently?
Honestly, not yet, not so far. It helps that Sean and we're on the same page with everything, and anything that we had differing opinions on, we problem solve together really well, which is maybe a unique concept, but we
I hope it's
no,
not.
we
Dang.
hope it's not. I feel like sometimes it is. People are like, "You don't fight," and I'm like, we don't really fight, no. Maybe we will one
I
day, I
think
don't know.
honestly though too that both of you tend to want to have an even keeled kind of temperament. I feel like
Yes.
there are certain things that I've seen you upset before in the past, but I don't think that Sean gets upset very quickly or easily.
Not with me, and, I mean, we all get upset about things, and he has
Right.
his things, but yeah, and in our relationship, we communicate really well, so that's been helpful, and that's helped with a lot of the house stuff,
Okay,
and
hold on
both of
for
us
the
are
woo
really
woos out there really quickly because we all want to know what are your signs?
I'm a Leo, he's a Sagittarius.
Both fire signs?
Yeah,
Dang.
which it's so funny because 'cause I'm like, "Yeah,
I'm
I'm
gonna have to
totally a
run
Leo."
those charts later.
If you know me at all, I'm a Leo, but I look at him and I'm like, "I don't know if you're actually a Sagittarius, honey." I mean, he is,
We
but,
can run
like
it later. Don't worry. I got you. I got you.
okay. Um So it's been great, and I think, like, we're in a bit of a different experience because we did a new build, so the builder is still we have for the next or for our first year, we have, like, a customer care manager for anything that needs to get fixed or, like, happens in the first year that, like, the movers chipped our wall moving something up the stairs. We'd sent in, they came and
Right, to get like fixed.
drywall. Yeah, and, like, our front door, same thing. There were just some things done that weren't done at the time that we closed, like our game room window has been broken since we closed and like they're coming today to fix it. It's been a process and it's yeah. So stuff like that. Like so it's a little bit different because we still have contact with the builder and we still kind of submit things like this is broken and they schedule it out. So and when you do a resale house, you don't get that.
Nope.
You're on your own.
No, that's a very different experience. Well, I mean,
Yes.
that
And
sounds like
so
that's been super magical of an experience, which is great. I'm so glad that you guys get to have
yeah,
that together and build a house that really fits both of you and have a good backyard. I mean, we're in Vegas, so having a backyard that feels like you can actually go outside is really important.
it is. It is because you don't want to go outside otherwise. Yeah.
So Gabby had a very intense month. Can you walk us through
Yeah.
of that?
Yeah, so we closed on our house October 29th, and at 8 o'clock the morning of October 30th, I got laid off of my job for 5 years. And okay, they thankfully had a severance package and all of that. And I was honestly like looking kind of to maybe shift my role or my career or my company as well, but getting laid off is never a good feeling, and getting laid off the day after you buy a brand new house is a terrible feeling.
You're like, "What's up,
Um,
universe? Dang.
I was like, "Okay, what's going on? Like, what are we doing here? Why?"
What does this mean?"
Yes. I mean, thank God it wasn't the day before we closed, I guess. Like there's some
Valid point.
gratitude there.
You're like, "You're meant to have this house. Don't worry about it."
Yes, yes. And then, so kind of navigating that. And 2 weeks later, November 8th, I had to put my dog to sleep. She had been sick for about a year. Best guess, the vet thinks she probably had a brain lesion or brain tumor, but we also think that she had canine cognitive dysfunction, which is basically like doggy Alzheimer's. And she was 14 and a half, and I'd had her since she was less than a year old. And so she's the most amazing dog. My mom had her most of the last year because I was traveling a lot and she just needed more attention. And it was there's nothing you can do for CCD, and a brain lesion or brain tumor is usually inoperable in a dog that small as well. Like there's just, and so she otherwise was completely healthy. But, the thing that my mom and I really had to remember is like the brain is an organ too, and her brain is failing. And she was living in kind of this cage where she was afraid and didn't know what was going on. She wasn't herself. She wasn't Tish. She wasn't my pupster anymore. And so it was a really hard decision, but I think that it was the most humane thing I could have done for her. And so I, of course, paid to have someone come to the house and like do it as comfortably as possible. And I did it in my old house before I moved because I'm like, I just don't want that energy in the new house immediately either.
Well, and that's where
Um,
she lived.
yeah.
That's where she
Yeah,
was, you know?
she lived in that house. I was there for about 2 years, and she did spend a lot of time there, but even though she was with my mom a lot as well. And so that happened November 8th. Um, and then my father had been diagnosed last July with small cell lung cancer. Didn't smoke a day in his life, but somehow ended up with small cell lung cancer. And I had been traveling out there in July and September of last year to visit him while he was going through treatment. I had power of attorney, a medical power of attorney, handled his living will, all of those things. And they did a PET scan in September of his lymph nodes, and it came back clean and clear. And so he was like, this is great, very happy, all of that. And then in October, we think he had a stroke, but we didn't know at the time. And he didn't end up in the hospital until November. He accidentally overdosed on his daily medication. Which was cholesterol, blood pressure, and diabetes medication. He took 3 doses in one morning of each
Was
of
he
them.
just, like, not remembering
Yeah,
that he
so
took it?
he didn't. He didn't remember that he took it. I know it was accidental. My dad would never have intentionally done that. I strongly believe that the met in his brain that they did radiation on didn't clear up, or it came back, because that's the one thing they never rescanned. They never did an updated MRI of his brain. And so I don't know that for sure, but and he had had strokes before, so he was prone to strokes. And so that could have certainly affected things as well. But he ended up in the hospital in November for the overdose. They were counteracting it, but then he couldn't chew or swallow. So it was a decline. And I had a plane ticket to go out there December 2nd. I was going to be out there for a week and planning to get him released from the hospital and it started with move him to like assisted living. And then as it got closer, the nurse in the hospital said, I think you need to think about hospice. And I said, okay. And my dad signed a DNR. He wanted to sign a DNR. The nurse from the hospital called me and said, your power of attorney, like, I need your consent to do this. And I said, yes, if those are my dad's wishes, then let him sign the DNR. I want him to be able to make decisions for himself right now. And I knew I've known for years, neither of my parents want to live like that. Yeah. And so, the day before Thanksgiving, now there's so many details I could go into, but I had authorized a feeding tube because he wasn't able to eat, and the IV nutrition can only go so far and like do so much over a long period of time. So I had authorized a feeding tube procedure, and then he accidentally pulled it out like the day they put it in. And so we were waiting to we were trying to get it, put back in, and this was all Thanksgiving week. And then Wednesday, and I still grapple with this in my head, but I took 3 hours Wednesday morning to use a spa gift card at the Waldorf that someone had gifted me, the Alumni Association, actually, for my term as president. I was finally using that gift card. So I booked a 3-hour session in one room, and I had my phone with me, but I wasn't checking it, because I was not moving in between and I didn't have time. I was like, okay, I'm taking 3 hours. And when I got done and I checked my phone, I had like 6 missed calls and a bunch of messages from my uncle and my aunt. And I'm like, okay. So I like went and found someone in the room, and I said, I need a place where I can make a phone call, right? Like, I know that this is a quiet area, but I need to make a phone call. And so she like took me to the lounge, and I video called my uncle, and he proceeded to tell me that my dad had become unresponsive. And he was on 100% oxygen, and the nurses were saying he has like minutes to hours to maybe days. And it was like, there's no coming back. Like, this is it. My dad is going to die. And so I immediately left Waldorf and I drove home and I called Sean and I said, I have to get to Orlando. I need you to find me flights so that when I get home, I can book something and pack and go to the airport. Like, I have to leave now. And so he did. God love that man. He started pulling up flights, and by the time I got home, he had found options for me. And unfortunately, flying west to east means at that time of day, I wasn't getting there that night. And I booked a red eye and I found a hotel and a rental car. And I flew, I don't remember where I connected. I had a connection somewhere because I only fly American because I'm a snob with executive platinum status. And so
We already said you were bougie. We know.
no. And so I took a red eye somewhere and connected to Orlando. And I landed in Orlando airport at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I had a checked bag because I was going to stay over a week at that point because I had already planned to be there for the following week. It was 5:29 in the morning and I was sitting on a bench in baggage claim, and the nurse from the hospital called to tell me that my dad had just died. And I missed him by 2 hours. It didn't even make it to his bedside before he passed. And I'm sure that there is a social media story post out there of the uncontrollably sobbing woman in Orlando baggage claim at 5:30 in the morning. There was a very kind woman who saw that I was crying and like went to the bathroom and brought me tissues. And then like a few minutes later when bags started dropping, she was like, "Can I get your bag for you?" And I was like, "Yes, please." And
Thank you,
these
sweet
2
woman.
yes, and then these 2 incredibly sweet older Black women came over and were like, "What's wrong?" And I said, "My dad just died. I didn't make it to him in time. Like, the hospital just called and my dad passed, like, he's gone." And, they were like, "Can we pray over you?" And I was like, "Yes, please. Like, I will take whatever spiritual gratitude, blessing, whatever I can right now." And, so there was a whole moment of me and them and the woman who got my bags, like, holding hands in a circle, and I'm crying and they're praying, and it was a whole moment. And
Girl, you're whew,
yeah, it
whew.
was I don't I'm just, like, all I can think is I didn't make it. So I When?
When was the last time you saw him before that?
In person was September, Labor Day. I think it was Labor Day weekend I was out there. So I had talked to him. I mean, I was talking to him daily or checking in with him or the nurses or, I mean, but I had seen him in person in September. I was out there visiting. So I went to get my rental car at 6 in the morning and drove, and when the nurse at the hospital called, I said, I'm in Florida. Like I will be there in 2 hours. And she said, I will leave him in the room so that you can see him. And so I said, thank you. And so I got to the hospital about 7:30 in the morning because he lives about an hour outside of Orlando. And my aunt and my uncle were already there, his brother and his sister. And so I went in and I sat in there with him for probably an hour. You reach a point where you're like, I don't know how long is too long or how short is too short. So you have to make a decision. And then being an attorney, my logic brain kicks in and I'm like, do I need to sign paperwork to release the body? Like I have, you go into this
What do
crisis
I need to do
management
now thing?
mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what else needs to get done? And so thankfully my aunt and uncle knew that my father had pre-purchased like a cremation package and they knew the name of the company. And so they gave the nurse the information. I signed the papers. They released him. The cremation center called me the next day and said, we'll call you again on Monday and like talk through more stuff. But we just wanted to say that we're so sorry. And like he did have a package. Everything is set. You don't need to worry about anything or pay for anything. Like it's prearranged. And so and my mom flew in Friday night, with my parents have been divorced about 10 years and I'm the only child. So it also is all on me to handle. I was the beneficiary and executor of everything to do with my dad. So yeah, I mean, there's so much that I could talk about after that, but I know we don't have all day. But that was, I had been really job hunting like the month of November and reaching out to all my contacts and applying. apply, and also moving. We moved 2 houses into 1 because this house we moved in together, so there was a lot of coordination there, and when dad died, I just went, finding my next job is not the most important thing anymore. Like, it's just not. And that was an interesting moment. It was like even though I worry every day about money, and that's just how my brain operates, and like, what if it runs out, and what if I don't get this or don't get that? But I think something in my brain just went, no, but this is not the most important thing anymore. You've got a lot that you need to handle now. And so that's what I started doing. I in alongside grieving my dad, who was an incredible father, and I was very, very close to, I handled everything. I planned his celebration of life. I handled his bank accounts. I handled his house. I handled his car,
How
all of
did
the
you
red tape.
balance handling all of the things and taking time for grieving?
I wish I had a solid answer for that, because I think I went into autopilot, a lot of it. I think I went into autopilot, and I have people around me, like my mom and Sean and my friends, who I can say things to that help me say it out loud, and they don't get upset if I cry. But I also, like, I know that my dad was suffering, and I'm really glad that he's not suffering anymore. And I think that helps, that, I knew he wasn't really going to get better even if he got out of the hospital. And so to know that he didn't have to extend that suffering brings me a little bit of comfort, and gratitude that it was short-lived in a way. Um, there's never enough time. You always think you have more time and you don't. And I learned that very quickly on Thanksgiving. So yeah, I mean, I have a really weirdly logical brain, and I'm very good at compartmentalizing, which is not always the most healthy thing to do. But I think that's what I had to do to handle a lot of this. But I also am grateful that I didn't have to worry about money at that time. And I think that would have made things a lot worse, between my severance package and, inheriting. I mean, my father was not wealthy, but there was enough money to make it so that I didn't have to stress about finding a job the day after my dad died. And I've had that time, and,
Being able to
I've
have
reached
that space is huge. I
I'm
mean,
incredibly grateful to have that, because I know most people don't. I know most people, when they lose their job, they have to find one the next week, to make ends meet or to continue paying their bills. And so I'm very grateful. It was, tragic how some of it happened, but I'm grateful that I had that, and that I've had the time to breathe, and really honestly stepping back and looking at the opportunities out there in the gaming industry or any other industry that I might have been interested in. I had a couple of opportunities come up for, hey, we need help with this project, or we need a consultant for this. People that I had worked with previously that I adore in the industry, that are like doing more startup things, or like wanting to enter the US market. And I took those on, and I just loved them. And I just went, I think I want to do this for a while, because I can bring in a little bit of money, and it's, I want to work it up to a livable kind of thing, which I'm taking the time to do. But it's just been really a blessing to have had those opportunities come up. And then, I had drinks with Gina and said, I want to learn corporate law. I love what you do. I think that you have a really amazing firm, and I would love to learn from you. Like, could I shadow you she was like, I need help. Yes. So,
yeah.
it was, so I've been working with her firm for a couple of months now, and learning and doing those things. And I feel like it's such a unique opportunity that I've had to make that transition and that
Mhm.
shift. And to be quite honest with you, the thought right now of going back to one job, 9 to 5 in a company, makes my stomach turn.
Well, I mean, you can't unsee it, just like the arrow in the FedEx logo. Once you see it, you can't go back.
No, you can't. And it's, I've loved every job that I've had. I've been grateful for all of that, but now I'm like, I don't want to do that
Well,
anymore. I mean,
and you get to choose, right?
yeah.
It's so interesting because what I heard you say, just my words, but when you got to be able to just release control over all of it, all of these cool opportunities ended up coming up. And you were just having a conversation with a friend, and this opportunity came up, and just allowing yourself the time and space to be able to feel what feels good versus just pushing and putting pressure on what you think you need to do for the next step is huge.
And there have been times when I've had opportunities come up in the last couple of months, and I've had actually trauma responses to some of those calls and the people that have been on those calls, and I'm like, "Nope, I don't wanna do this again. I don't wanna do this again," for various reasons that I won't go into, but I have really been able to trust myself and my actual physical responses to things, which I've not always done in my life. And so, yeah, I've got 3 amazing gaming clients that are, I need a little bit of help here and there. I'm learning corporate law, general corporate law with Gina, and, I'm really excited to see what's next and what else comes up and, who else needs a consultant or a project manager or help, with XYZ thing that I'm really good at.
Well, and that's the good part about being in business for yourself is we don't need a million clients. We only need a few that we really enjoy working with, and you can make it a very enjoyable life. So I love that you've gotten the opportunity to really transition into that because it is so powerful. And on my end, I love being able to just pick my clients and be able to have
Yes.
opportunity opportunity to expand the way that people feel in their bodies and see themselves and really do the deeper work. And it's so powerful to be able to just give yourself time and space to figure out what clients you actually do want to work with and what you're passionate about.
Yeah. And honestly, Casey, I've been watching you the last 8 years, and I think what you're doing is incredible. And you're an inspiration for that, where I'm like, I don't know how she does it because I'm sure you have days where you're like, I am stressed about this or this doesn't feel good. But the way that you just keep moving forward and jumping at these new opportunities and new areas to expand in, I think is absolutely incredible. And I'm so grateful to know you and be able to watch you on your journey.
Thank you. It's so interesting because especially as I decided to like get deeper with people and not just do photography, but also do like transformational coaching, I think a lot of those conversations got louder. And it's been so interesting to know that my whole life I've been a coach. My whole life I've been a supporter. My whole life I've been holding space for vulnerability and shifting and change and growth. And knowing that and knowing how much work I've done and how many certifications I've done and healing modalities just on myself, I have seen the changes that I can bring to people. And I know that the imposter syndrome in my head saying, you can't do this, you can't help people is just the fear. It's the brain just trying to be safe and going to what's comfortable. And that's fine because I've already seen it. I have seen the magic that I bring into people's lives. I've seen the impact that I can have when I just hold space and ask a bunch of deep questions. So I'm super excited about deepening all of it and really incorporating all of the woo that I have come to love and know in my life and know that I'm going to heal the world as I'm healing myself.
I love that. And I'm so in my, like I said, I'm in my 40s era. I am embracing it. I am excited about turning 40, and I am very much diving into my own version of the woo woo
Don't
and
quit, do it.
do it. I love it.
That's why I have the sign.
Yes. No, I think it's perfect. I was looking at it
Yeah,
earlier. I was like,
I love all your woo and you're doing your oracle cards and stuff. I love
yes.
all that. Yeah, it's
And I have, we're talking about hot tea. I found this little impulse buy book at the Book and the Bean pop up. She does a lot of partnerships with Craft House, and I like always go because I love her and Sean loves beer. So it works out.
it's perfect.
Um, and it was this little book called Tea Magic, and it's all about the herbal teas and different types of teas and what's good for what ailments, what's good for what preventative things, or just your general health and mental well-being. And so I'm like, I want to do this. Like, I want to learn this for myself. And
Herbs are so powerful. I mean, that's why
yes,
the oil business and everything like doTERRA, all those types of oils, same thing with teas because you're getting it into your system somehow to help heal yourself with all these plants that are native to our earth.
yes. Yeah, I'm getting very earthy woo woo and I'm excited about it. And I have my days of worry and insecurity. And you said imposter syndrome. And oh my God, is that voice loud so many times? But I feel really good about the path that I'm on. And it's not a path I ever thought that I'd be on. So I think that's even more striking to me.
Well, on that note, through this past year, you've seen so much change and transformation and expansion and death and rebirth, in all honesty. If going through all of these things and now you're going to be in your fourth decade version 4.0, I'm just going to turn everything into song. What do you wish that you could tell your 20-year-old self now at 40?
Oh, that's a long list. Well, first of all, I tell her to keep dancing because let me tell you, getting out of shape is no joke.
Keep moving your body. Not like,
Yes, keep moving your
dear
body.
God, people in your
Yes,
20s, keep moving your body
yes.
or you'll feel like the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz.
There's so many days that I'm like, I'm too young to feel this
I'm
old, but I
too
feel this
young to
old.
feel this old.
I would tell her to keep moving her body, but I think I'd also tell her to trust herself and honestly that she is worth so much more than she gives herself credit for. And it took me my 20s and 30s to figure that out. And I'm grateful that I am where I am now. And I don't think there's anything that I'd really go back and strongly change. But gosh, if I could give her advice to avoid some of that heartbreak and self doubt, that's what it would be.
Well, I'm loving that you are standing strong in your worth and your value now and taking the time to actually make sure that you're a healthy, fed into individual and having all the things in your house and body that you need. Is there anything about either the seasons of your mess or the seasons of your magic that you would want to share with our awesome audience before we wrap it up?
Always do something for yourself. I think that's what I'm learning in the magic is and it's widely out there, but you can't take care of others if you don't take care of yourself. And I was not very good at taking care of myself and I still struggle with it. Um, but you've got to find something in every day, even if it's a different thing every day that is for you and that will bring you
I
back to yourself.
Do you remember those little Tamagotchi toys we used to have when we were
Yes,
kids? So there's an app that I have on my phone now, and it's this little character, and I named her Chloe. I don't know why.
it's a good
But
name.
she's me, and I have a little list of all of the habits that I want to do for myself during the day, and I take care of her by doing those habits. But one of the habits that popped in there as an automatic habit that was just in there that I didn't have to add to was do one thing that makes you happy. And I think that that's what you're saying, and I think that that's so powerful to be able to intentionally do, and that's another thing you're doing with your oracle cards and setting yourself up with gratitude and intention for the day is just setting yourself up on that energy every morning to really call in everything good that could possibly happen and focusing on that. What we focus on expands. So I think you're
Yeah.
doing an absolute great job of reparenting and taking care of yourself in this new era of you.
And one quick thing I just thought of because you were like, we're going to talk about it. And then we just didn't because the conversation went elsewhere. But the other thing that I started doing at night before I go to bed, just quickly, is I read. I'm reading again.
Okay. Yeah, we have to take a second on this. I know you have a call in 20 minutes, but we're gonna take a
That's
few
okay.
minutes because
Yes.
this is needed. So, I got to do a fabulous I've done multiple fabulous photo shoots with Gabby in the past, and one of the things that we did with her was really incorporate her love of reading because that is the entire time I've known her, she has absolutely loved. So, number 1, how did you fall out of reading, and how did you get back into reading?
Life. You fall out of reading with life and not taking time for yourself. I'm really good at booking my calendar to my own detriment
Ha!
sometimes.
Booking.
Yeah.
Ha!
Yeah, I know. Booking in the wrong sense, right? Just life gets busy. And, the my previous role, I was traveling a lot. I was vice president and then president of the UNLV Alumni Association. So that took a lot of time and energy, which I loved, but it takes time. And then I'm teaching dance, 2 nights a week and rehearsing on Saturdays. And we have Nutcracker, and we have spring concert, and we have our ensemble shows. And so there's just always something going on.
Life
And
was lifing.
yeah, and I was exhausted every night, and I'm like, "I just wanna go to sleep. I'm gonna go to bed." And then you lay in bed and you binge watch television or you doom scroll, and, like, it's just so easy to do the things that distract your mind and, like, become mindless, honestly. And so after Sean and I moved in together, I have a little reading corner in our bedroom. It's big enough that I could put, like, a chair and ottoman in there, and I, like, looked at him one night and I said, I wanna read again. I wanna do this for me. I wanna read again, like, every night before I go to bed, and I bought a little reading light for my little side table there, and he's like, "Okay." And he every night before bed, he's like, "Are you gonna read?" And I'm like, "Yep, I'm gonna read." And he goes to
Oh,
sleep, and I sit there and I read. And it's, anywhere from fiction to, I mean, I own almost 2,000 books, right? And like it keeps
We can
expanding
see
because
some of them behind you.
we can. These are all of my nonfiction books on both of these shelves. And so I have a book buying addiction. I'm not even going to call it a problem because I love books, but I buy a
It's not
lot
a
of
problem,
books too.
exactly.
Exactly. But I just said I just want to get lost in a book. And really for me, I've been sleeping better because of it. Because I'm decompressing, I'm not staring at a blue light screen, I'm not staring at the TV.
Exactly.
I'm reading a book and I'm focusing my mind but relaxing it at the same time. And sometimes I read for an hour and sometimes I read for 20 minutes and I'm really tired, but I'm reading every night.
Mhm.
And it's become a part of my bedtime routine along with better skincare. And I truly believe that I have been sleeping better because of it.
Well, I think so for sure, because especially if you're off of the screens, your body's gonna be able
Mhm.
your nervous system is able to separate, and just like that circadian rhythm of getting into the sunlight in the mornings, I think reading to decompress is beautiful. With your collection of over 2,000 books, what would be your top nonfiction and your top fiction book?
Okay. I'm gonna there's two top nonfictions that I will say because they immediately came to mind. So I was like, oh, both. The Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. I I have read the book and I have listened to the Audible 3 times because she narrates the Audible, so it's like her. You could just hear her story. I would recommend it to anyone. I love her. I love what The Year of Yes was about. I love its messaging. So yes to that. And then The Woman I Wanted to Be, I know, I'm so full of words today. The Woman I Wanted to Be by Diane von Furstenberg. It's her memoir, and I love her anyways. I love her fashion, I love her clothing line, but her story is amazing. And I remember I was in a hotel in DC. I was in the Willard Hotel in DC. It's my favorite hotel. And every time I'm there, I go down to the Round Robin Bar, which is a very famous bar. It's where the term lobbying was coined because all the politicians met there because it's right next to the White House. So it's like super historical. I love the vibe. And so I go down and I have a glass of wine and I read a book. And it's just the best time. And that was where I started reading that book. And I was in that bar for 4 hours because I could not put the book down. And I was like crying 90 pages in.
Oh.
And so, yeah, so those are my two nonfiction. Gosh, fiction.
Okay, you think of your
Okay,
fiction, I'll
so
give my top 2 nonfiction. My top 2
yes,
nonfiction are Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey,
I have that.
and he also narrates that, and it is
Ugh,
absolutely fabulous, and it just made me love him even more, and his
yes.
silly brain and all the things that he's just written his whole life is just fabulous, and I love him, and then I would say, I don't really know if this is a fiction or nonfiction book, but I think everybody should read it, and that's The Four Agreements. I read it all of the time, and I get something different out of it, and I absolutely love, love, love that book.
Okay. And I actually own both of those books, so I will have to pull them out and put them in my TBR, like, up top. I
TBR, to
own
be read.
mm,
You're so
to
cute.
be read. It's 2,000 books. I own 2,000 books, and I have not read most of the books that I own because I also love to gift after I'm done reading. If it's not a book that I think I wanna keep or read again, I donate them. I just love a book getting passed around and so many people reading and loving it. Fiction. Oh, there's been so many that I've read. I My go-to that I would read again, is ironically, it's a historical romance by, Bertrice Small, who has since passed. I think she passed in 2015, but I love all of her books. It's called Sky O'Malley, and it is not a short book. It is a saga, and there are multiple books in her story, but Sky O'Malley is book 1. And she's such a wonderfully strong, independent character for that era. And, there are things in there that you're like, I was just reading one of the sequels like recently called All the Sweet Tomorrows. And I was reading it. And I was like, God, this is just, it's so archaic. But I'm like, but this is how it was in the 15 and 1600s. Right. But the way that she writes such strong female characters, I really love her writing and those stories. And they're long. They're not short by any means. But a more recent read, I would say The Lost Apothecary. I, I love that book. Um, I read it a couple of months ago. It's been out for a couple years now, I think. She just announced that she's writing a sequel, so I'm so excited. I think you would love The Lost Apothecary because it's two women in different eras, whose lives kind of intertwine, and it's really amazing.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. I opened my business at the end of 2013. And ever since then, I have been primarily reading nonfiction books to learn, to grow, to develop in business and life. And one of my best friends, she's like my little sister, she started reading this fiction series that she got from Book Talk because she was just like obsessed with Book Talk. Anyway, she's like, hey, I'm obsessed with this book series and I need somebody to talk about it with. Will you please read these? And luckily, somehow when I went on Audible, I was going on a trip and all of the Audible books in this series were like 80% off. So I got all the books immediately on Audible. And I would say that they are not short books either. But A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J.
Oh
Maas
God.
is now one of my obsessions. And so one of the things that Katie and I are obsessed with now is because we know it's become so popular, they may do a show or something or a movie if, we can bring it into fruition. So I'm obsessed with casting the movie
Okay.
or the show. And I think I have the two best characters or people to play the main two characters, Tamlin and Rhysand. I think
Mhm.
that if they go against my wishes, that it's just not going to be good enough.
That's
But
fair. I appreciate that.
have you read those books?
So, fun fact about me, I am very headstrong and stubborn. And when something becomes so mainstream that everyone is doing
You
it, I
refuse?
immediately resist. I immediately
Yep.
resist. I still
Yep.
haven't seen Wicked or Hamilton, which I'm coming around on those, I will admit, but it's taken me since they premiered.
For you,
Um,
see Hamilton first.
okay.
For you. Yeah.
It's on Disney Plus, so that's an easy one
Yeah.
for me.
You need to see that.
I know, I do. You're totally right. I
I know.
do. And it's one
Sorry,
of
not
those that
sorry.
I resist the mainstream. I also refuse to download TikTok. So I know about Book Talk. But
No, I
yeah,
know.
I
I get it from other people. I can't have
yeah,
TikTok on my phone or else I would be in the dopamine coma. So can't do it.
correct. So I have not read any of Sarah J. Maas's books, but I am also starting to one of my dearest friends, Brienne, actually, she and I are like book lovers together. So we always send each other like Instagram reels and we're both in like the dark romance era. So, there's all of that going on too. But she just started reading it. Someone recommended it to her and she was like, okay, I'll really, so she goes, I think that you'll like it. And I'm like, okay. I'm getting
Let me
close
just
to
tell you really
breaking.
quick. Because I know you. So the main character in the lady, the girl in the first book, you have to just get through her being like Katniss in the Hunger Games at first. You just have to get through it and then it's fine. I promise. So just get through it. Like Black Mirror, don't watch the first episode, watch the rest of it, right? Like, but okay.
I was
So
told that same thing. Yes.
yeah. So don't stop reading
Mhm.
when you get frustrated with the main character in the first book.
Okay. All right.
You'll be fine.
And I think I'm just gonna have to jump on the bandwagon and put it, get it and put it in my TBR. So I
And
will.
here's for some comments,
Yes.
guys, for below. So I want Rhysand, anybody reading these, I want Rhysand to be played by Henry Cavill because I'm just obsessed with him and I love him and I think he'd be
Love it.
great as Rhysand. And then for anyone who knows Brock O'Hearn, and if you do not, just Google him, he would be a perfect Tamlin. So
Okay.
do you know how he's the Leo? He's just like a
Yes.
beautiful lion man. Okay, yeah. So
Yes.
he should be Tamlin. So that's
He
Rhysand and
is.
Tamlin. So if anyone else out there in my audience is watching, please feel free to comment and tell me who you think should play them and if you agree with me, because I think that I'm correct.
I think, well, I'm going to trust your judgment. And then when I do end up reading it, I will certainly
Please let
see
me
if
know.
that
Please circle
matches.
back.
But I will also, I'm going to have to tell Brienne this because Henry Cavill is her ultimate man crush.
Ultimate.
Ultimate. So I'm going to have to tell her that now.
My ex-boyfriend was a sculptor and he would make action figures of Warhammer 40,000 and all the things. And Henry Cavill is obsessed with Warhammer 40,000. So he was one of our favorite people
Yes.
always anyway. And then The Witcher, and I played The Witcher. So yeah, no, I just love
Oh my
him.
God, I love that.
He can do no
Okay.
wrong.
I believe it. I believe it. Well, I might have to pick up A Court of Thorns and Roses.
You may have to.
just been the final kind of crack in my armor on that.
Yeah. And yeah, it'll be interesting if you're like, oh my God, I love these books.
And I fully believe that there is like at least a 90% chance that I will. I'm just so resistant to anything that becomes like mainstream pop culture immediately. And I'm like, that's very snobbish of me. I totally admit that. And I eventually, like years down the road, will break down and do it. But like when everyone stopped talking about it, and I can just do it on my own.
I was the same thing with like the iPhone. I was like, I'm not getting an iPhone. This is stupid. And now I have an iPhone.
I will
Do
not
you
get
like
over.
do you like the show Friends?
Yeah, I've seen like every episode.
Yeah, same. So Katie is also obsessed with the show Friends. She has a Friends tattoo on her foot.
Nice.
And now, somehow similarly, and I don't even understand how this is possible, but it totally works. They are doing a ton of like Instagram, like reels and stuff that are friends scenes, but they are actually A Court of Thorns and Roses characters and scenes and comparisons. And it is so spot on and fire and hilarious. So she now keeps sending me all those. So we need to be able to talk about all the things.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go find those. I'm gonna, you know what, I'm gonna put it on my Amazon in my Amazon cart. I'll tell you what, I will do that. I will
Okay.
commit to that.
Just one step, just admitting you
One
need to
step.
do it is the first step.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. Amazing conversation. And I really do want to thank you so much for sharing your story. I know that it's hard to talk about some things and be vulnerable. And the reason that we do this podcast is to really spread light and love and support, so people feel like they're not alone, and can have resource and listen to our amazing conversation. So thank you so much for sharing. I know your journey has been really powerful this last year. So it really means a lot.
Thank you so much for having me on my first ever podcast. This was amazing. And I will take any opportunity I can to talk to you anyways. I love you so much.
Podcast cherry. Woo. All right, y'all. That is it for us for this episode. We will see you next time on The Mess and the Magic.
Thank you.